All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever wondered if all of Elon Musk's companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, are actually part of a much bigger plan? What if they weren't separate ventures at all, but were designed to all hit their stride in one single transformative year? Well, that's the wild theory coming out of a new investment report from Zhejiang Securities. And today, we're going to unpack their idea of a 2026 Musk Singularity.
So the whole idea, the entire report, really boils down to this one big question. Are we about to see the future arrive in 2026? According to these analysts, we're not just talking about another year on the calendar. No, they're saying this is it. This is the moment the future shows up on our doorstep. The year when all that sci-fi stuff we've been dreaming about is set to become a massive, commercial, world-changing reality.
Okay, so what do they even mean by a singularity year? It sounds kind of dramatic, right? But think of it like a tipping point. Imagine all these different super advanced technologies being developed in their own little labs for years and years. A lot of money, a lot of research. Well, a singularity year is when they all suddenly break out of their labs and crash into the real world at the same time. They converge, transforming from just cool ideas into actual products and services that you can buy. And for the people writing this report, the key part is that's when they start making serious money. It's the switch from maybe someday to happening right now.
So the report breaks this whole thing down into 6 key pieces of the empire. You've got AI, robotics, self-driving cars, new energy, brain-computer interfaces, and commercial space. But here's the absolute kicker, the main point of their whole analysis. These are not separate things. They're all woven together, deeply interconnected. And that, they argue, is where the real magic, the real power is. So let's dive in and look at each one.
All right, first up, let's talk about the stuff that's set to completely change the physical world around us. We're talking robots, cars that drive themselves, and a whole new way to power all of it.
So pillar number 1 is robotics. And the big milestone for 2026? The mass production version of the Optimus robot. Yeah, we've all seen those videos of it folding laundry, right? But this is the next level. This is about going from a cool prototype to actually building and shipping these things out into the world by the thousands.
But here's what the report finds really interesting. The big opportunity might not even be the finished robot itself. It's all the little pieces that go into making it. It's the supply chain. You can think of the actuators as the robot's muscles, making it move, and the sensors as its senses, letting it see and feel. According to the analysts, those core parts are where the huge value is hiding.
Next up, autonomous driving. Now, 2026 is pegged as a massive turning point here. The plan is to take the whole robotaxi idea from these small experimental tests to a full-scale money-making business. And when you add in the fact that they plan to start cranking out the purpose-built cybercab, well, that's the first real major test of whether this whole revolutionary idea can actually work in the real world. So what's making all of this possible? The report points to 2 main things. First, you've got the brains of the operation. We're talking about the super powerful AI chips and the complex algorithms that actually make the car smart. And second, you need the fleet. You need car makers who can actually build huge numbers of vehicles with advanced self-driving capabilities. Cars that can handle pretty much any driving situation you throw at them. Pillar number 3 is new energy. And by 2026, the analysts are expecting just explosive growth in Tesla's battery storage business. But it's not just about batteries on the ground. They're also looking up, way up, at the much more futuristic vision of space-based solar power. I mean, literally collecting solar energy in orbit and beaming it back down to us here on Earth. Wild stuff. So this really creates 2 huge areas of opportunity. Here on the ground, you have the massive, growing demand for things like megapacks for the grid and power walls for homes. But then, looking to the future, you have this incredibly ambitious, long-term vision of what the report calls a space AI energy network. Okay, so we've covered the physical world. Now let's switch gears and move into the digital frontier. This next batch of pillars is all about data, pure intelligence, and even biology itself. Fourth on the list is AI, artificial intelligence. The analysts have this great term for what they expect in 2026. They call it a harvesting period for XAI. Basically, after spending a fortune on building the hardware, like the Dojo supercomputer, and training these huge models like Grok, this is the year all that investment is expected to finally start paying off in the form of real products and services that people will pay for.
You can kind of think of the AI business like a 3-layer cake. At the very bottom, you've got the foundation, the computer hardware, the chips. Then in the middle, you have the big AI models themselves. And then, on top, you have all the cool applications that actually use that intelligence, things like the self-driving cars and the robots we were just talking about.
All right, pillar number 5, commercial space. And this one is pretty much all about one thing, Starship. The report singles out 2026 as the year it's finally supposed to be fully operational. And that is an absolute game changer because it's expected to slash the cost of putting things into orbit, not just by a little, but by a massive amount.
And when it gets that much cheaper to go to space, it just blows the doors wide open for a whole new market. Suddenly, it's not just about building the rocket, it's about all the new stuff you can send on the rocket. The report highlights opportunities everywhere, from making better satellite parts to creating new kinds of chips that let your regular cell phone talk directly to a satellite. This could create global internet services we haven't even thought of yet.
And that brings us to the 6th and final pillar, and it might be the most futuristic of them all, brain-computer interfaces. And for this one, we don't have to guess at the timeline. Musk himself set the goal with a pretty direct quote. The plan, after the first human trials, is to start high-volume production of the Neuralink device in, you guessed it, 2026, made possible by a more automated way of doing the surgery.
Now, for the time being, the report says the clearest investment plays are in the really specialized high-tech components that make Neuralink possible. We're talking about the super advanced, flexible electrodes that actually interface with the brain, the custom-designed chips that have to process all those brain signals, and of course, the incredibly precise surgical robots needed to perform the procedure.
Okay, so we've walked through all 6 pillars: robots, cars, energy, AI, space, and brain interfaces. But here's the most important part of the entire report. The central argument is that if you look at any of these by themselves, you're totally missing the point. The real story, the big idea, is how they're all designed to plug into each other, to work together, and to make each other more powerful.
Let me give you a quick example of how this all clicks together. So, step 1. SpaceX launches the Starlink satellites, creating a global internet network. Step 2. xAI provides the powerful artificial intelligence that runs on that network. Step 3. Tesla's cars and its Optimus robots are the physical bodies out in the real world, using that AI to see, think, and act. And finally, Step 4. Tesla's energy business provides all the power needed to run the whole thing. See? It's like a giant, self-reinforcing loop.
So, the big question is, how much do these analysts actually believe this? Well, they came up with their own scoring system to rate investment themes, and they gave this whole Musk concept a 95 out of 100. I mean, that is a staggering score. It shows an almost unbelievable level of conviction in this idea.
And if that score wasn't enough, here's the number that really makes you sit up and pay attention. The analysts actually created a custom stock market index based on this whole idea. And when they tested it against past data, they found that their Musk index would have beaten the rest of the market by more than 157%. A number like that, well, you can't really ignore it.
And all of this brings us to one final, really big thought. This report lays out a pretty compelling case for a massive technological convergence in 2026. 6 huge, futuristic industries all hitting their stride at once. So it leaves us with this one last crucial question to ponder. What does it mean for all of us, for our future, when so much of it is being shaped by one single, incredibly powerful, interconnected vision?